Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Lee Sanders with you guys for this Monday night edition of the RCWR Show for October 16th, 2023. What is up? Man, it's great to be back with you guys. I haven't done a show in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, believe it or not, I have not done a show. So it's going to take me a little bit of a minute to get back into the groove of things. But long story short, I was gone for the past 2 weeks because of COVID. Your man had came down with COVID big time. It was really, really bad. And it was crazy. I'll give you guys the gory details later because it was almost like we needed Columbo to solve this mystery as far as how the hell did COVID get to me and all that. But the COVID, it was my first time getting it as far as I know because I had tested myself after a couple of days initially and it was just, wait, what? And so I had that going on. I had my everybody's different. It's really weird. When some people get COVID, it's different for them. For some, it's a common cold. For some, nothing happened. My experience, though, was really, really bad. I had the fevers, chills, cold sweats, significant loss of appetite, loss of taste, loss of smell, and a lot of that is still kind of lingering, especially as far as, okay, am I hungry or am I not? I feel rather content, like loss of appetite, somewhere battling around those avenues and everything. So it was just really, really weird what was going on the past 2 weeks and everything. Didn't have my voice at 100%. I was whispering, and then at times my vocals would just give out. It wasn't even trying. It was just, yeah, no, you ain't saying nothing. Just forget about it. So that was pretty bad, I gotta tell you. But I'm feeling a lot better. To those of you that had reached out to me on social media wishing for me the very best as far as a speedy recovery goes and everything, greatly appreciate that and everything. So look, nice little condensed show for you guys. We'll definitely talk about the key points from tonight's WWE RAW. We'll also preview this Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. We got some wrestling related news that we can get into. We also got some non-wrestling related stuff that we can dip into as well. So got ourselves a pretty nice, well-rounded show when it's all said and done. So hope you guys been good since last I was on the air with you guys. Like as I said, it's been about 2 weeks. I know during that time, we saw AEW and WWE. They went head to head last Tuesday. A lot of people dubbing that the Tuesday Night War and all kinds of other stuff and everything. I did watch both shows. As far as who I gave my undivided attention to first, I gave it to NXT because I just felt that, wow, for as long as I had been watching NXT, I just felt that, man, they were really loading this bad boy up with all the stars. And it just felt, you know what, this is kind of one of those, not your everyday run-of-the-mill episodes of NXT. This has a special kind of vibe to it, and they were already kind of building it up a bit a couple of weeks prior. It's not like they just came from out of nowhere. And just to defend WWE a little bit as far as NXT goes, it's not the first time that NXT has been in a position where a major star from either Raw or SmackDown has crossed on over to NXT. We've seen it done before in the past. It's just a case where, wow, we've never quite seen it on, on this kind of magnitude. Because, I mean, they really had amplified the hell out of it. But, no, I ended up watching NXT first, and I had enjoyed that show overall. And then I think the next day I had checked out AEW Dynamite, and I felt that Dynamite did a pretty good show as well. I thought both shows from both respective promotions, I thought they did pretty good. As far as the ratings went down, I know that was something everybody was thinking about. I didn't put any predictions out there, but I couldn't help but say to myself, well, look, this is going to be an automatic gimme for WWE because they're always on Tuesday nights at that same time. It's AEW that's essentially going to be taking that little bit of a sting because you're talking about switching your audience from one night that they're already accustomed to, and you're going to have them come on an entirely whole different night. The hell with the fact that the timing and all that is still the same. Just the fact that it's a completely different other day. That might just do it itself right there. We all know the reasons why, for the record, right? We do know why Dynamite went to Tuesday. Hopefully you guys know by now. And it wasn't because it was Tony Khan's birthday. It's because we pretty much were knee deep into the MLB postseason and everything. That's why ultimately Dynamite got bumped from its Wednesday spot and everything. But just keeping the viewership numbers in mind, I just felt, okay, you know what? NXT will win, but I figured that at least NXT was going to get just about 1 million plus. I was expecting for Dynamite to get maybe about 750,000 viewers. And to see that neither show was able to crack 1 million, I just looked at that. It was funny seeing all the people online just, we won. Well, we won in this category. Yeah, but we had the better product. It's just hilarious seeing these people go back and forth about, how they felt that their brand were superior to the inferior brand. And it's, guys, neither one of y'all, it's just a tie. It's a stalemate. Seriously, if we're really going to break this down, it's really a stalemate. As far as I'm concerned, for so many reasons, it's a stalemate. But, man, that was nothing compared to what was going on with Tony Khan and just the tirade that he was on via social media. I will talk a lot more about that later on in the show, because just when I thought I saw just a little bit of everything and then some on social media these past several days, that just had really took the icing off the cake for me. We'll talk a lot more about that later on during the show. Let's get WWE RAW out the way. Let's get the talk of it out the way. And I don't want to do no long drawn out. I've really liked being able to just come on here and just with a paintbrush, just a nice loose stroke on the whole show overall and all that. I really appreciate that. Now, if you guys want to maybe sound off, let your voice be heard about what you thought about tonight's WWE RAW, you're definitely more than welcome to do that. But I'm not going to get all full-blown nitty-gritty into the details and everything. But I tell you what, if you would have told me that Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso were going to lose those undisputed tag team titles to the Judgment Day's Damian Priest and Finn Balor, I would have said, is somebody injured, or are we maybe trying to do something for Crown Jewel? What exactly is going on? I need more details. Color me curious, because I really felt we had a great thing going on here with Cody and Jay as a tag team. And if you had saw that media scrum from a couple of weeks ago, you're going, yo, I need a lot more of this. That was actually one of the main highlights of that WWE press scrum last go round, was Cody and Jay just getting loose and stupid and everything. So yeah, it's kind of one of those. And, and you've been, if you're taken to social media, you've seen what people have been saying online about the team of Cody and Jay. A lot of people, they're digging it. It just feels like for me, I can't speak for others, but I know for me, it just felt like a scenario where a funny thing happened to me on the way to heaven this morning. Right, it's just kind of one of those. I just bumped into this thing. I bumped into this person, and yeah, it was a great thing because this had came from out of it. So the fact that we had these two guys get paired up together, and besides getting paired up together, like it's just instant chemistry. It's just instant funny banter between these two guys. You're going, okay, yeah, you can't do wrong with these two guys. So the fact that the tag titles were put on them, it's okay, all right, well, we're still pushing this narrative of Jey Uso. Can the man be trusted? Has he truly shaken off those old stripes known as the bloodline? Is he really a changed man? Has he truly seen the light? All that, right? So you got that narrative going on, while Cody is still continuing to jump out there, go to bat for the young man and everything, right? So you got a whole lot of interesting dynamics that's going on there, but not for nothing. We had these seeds planted in the back of our minds, because go back to that Friday night premiere of SmackDown. Roman Reigns had said to Jimmy Uso straight up, yo, and we got LA Knight running around here acting like he's somebody. On my show, we got John Cena on here acting like he's somebody. We've got Cody Rhodes and your brother. What's going on with that? How are we going to handle that? So Roman wanted to know from Jimmy, what are we doing in regards to this tag team situation here? And these guys are just continuing to roll around, strutting their stuff, acting like they all that. What are we going to do about that? And Jimmy, hey, leave it to me. I'm on it. I'm going to be on top of it. Don't worry about it. Now, you can't help but wonder, when you get ready to check out SmackDown later this week, if the Tribal Chief is going to be pleased with the actions that Jimmy did here tonight, because Jimmy had got involved in the final few seconds of this main event match for the Undisputed Tag titles, delivering a super kick to his brother Jay. And that pretty much had sealed the deal for Judgment Day to pick up the win, become the tag champions again. I don't have a problem with this. I would imagine there's going to be some people that's going to be out there that's going to be looking at this, and they're possibly going to say something along the lines of the tag titles are being hot shot. This is more about the story rather than actually try to build up the division. And I can just see that a mile away coming, and it's kind of one of those cases where I'm actually going, no, I'm gonna enjoy the journey on this one, because just when you think where things seem to be heading, it's like a new wrinkle gets put into effect. And so, no, I want to kick back, and since we're 2 weeks away from Crown Jewel, I want to see how this is all going to continue to develop and try to get a better sense of, because see, where my mind is really going right now, my mind is really on Survivor Series. Not so much Crown Jewel, although I am excited for that event, and I'm mainly excited for that event because of our Saudi fans that's over there. I love seeing how they experience the wrestling, particularly the WWE product over there, because it's not like they get it on a weekly basis like us spoiled Americans get it over here and everything. So I love taking in a new culture and all of that, but my eyes is just already leaping past that, and I'm going towards Survivor Series because I'm most curious from that point. That is going to pretty much give you a better concrete idea of what you could potentially expect to wrap up 2023 as we make our way to January's Royal Rumble. So that's where my headspace is at. I think that's where a lot of you all's headspace should be at. But as far as potentially a rematch going down for those tag titles as early as Crown Jewel, I'm going to jump out there and say, yeah, definitely look for it. I would actually be surprised if it did not happen. Again, I would be surprised if it did not happen at Crown Jewel. So we'll wait and see how that pans about. But that was a fun main event match for what it was worth. Not quite as good as what went down at Fastlane, mind you. But, you know, the chemistry definitely was on fire. It was on point between all the guys that was involved in this one. It's obvious that the way that they've planted seeds in here, Jay is most likely going to be looking to extract some type of revenge on Jimmy. No, you can't help but wonder if we're going to see something go down where maybe the bloodline going up against Cody, Jay, Sammy, KO. Like, is that maybe even possible where we're going? Right in the coming weeks as we're going towards Survivor Series and all that, you know, can't help but wonder. Or is there maybe going to be some type of a showdown between the brothers at Crown Jewel? You know, there's a whole lot that can go down in these next 2 weeks, and let's not forget the entire card for Crown Jewel. It is not finalized yet, as we are here tonight for October 16th, 2023. Crown Jewel is not set in stone, to the point I'm actually looking at the card right now to give you guys the latest update, and I'm just playing in the back of my head right now. I would suspect, if not 2-3 matches max that I'm aware of, that's going to be going down at Crown Jewel. Yeah, only 2 matches right now, and that's Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight title against Drew McIntyre. Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley, that we found out tonight, and it was a great segment in how they had strung it all together to make this match announcement, as Rhea Ripley is going to be defending that Women's World Championship in a fatal 5-way match. She'll be defending against Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Raquel Rodriguez. That is going to be one hell of a match. You talk about the odds being stacked, not in favor of the champion, but can she reign supreme? Will she continue to be the Eradicator? We'll have to see how that pans out. But I love how this match had got pieced together, because earlier in the night on Raw, we had saw Shayna Baszler in a match, and she was going up against, I'm trying to think who it was. I believe it was Shayna Baszler taking on, was it Nia Jax? I wrote it down in my notes here, so just give me a second and I'll actually be able to see what it was. Yeah, no, actually it was Shayna Baszler taking on Rhea Ripley, according to my notes. Rhea Ripley taking on Shayna Baszler. And, you know, for what was going on for that match, from the little bit that I saw, I mean, it was okay. I felt it was dragging out just a little bit. I didn't really feel the chemistry was there with the two girls. No shade to them whatsoever, but I just didn't feel like the magic wasn't there between these two. So it made me appreciate more that the way that this match was set up, it was more so of a brawl, and these girls were just pretty much having just a slug out fest, like it was a hockey brawl. You've seen enough of those hockey brawls over your time. Even if you don't care for hockey, you can appreciate a good hockey fight when you see one, okay? And that's kind of how this was playing itself out to be and everything, when all of a sudden we saw Nia Jax. She gets involved in the whole ordeal. Then we see, who was it? Just no particular order. I'm just thinking of the names that popped up. Zoe got in there, was trying to get some licks. Then did I mention Raquel already? Yeah, Raquel got in there. All those girls got in there. Everybody was trying to one up each other. It was ridiculous, right? In a good way, ridiculous that it was and everything. So it's an all-out brawl. Rhea Ripley, not a fan of how all that had came about. Stormed into the office of Adam Pearce. By the way, if you didn't watch SmackDown, Adam Pearce is now the general manager for Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, SmackDown has its own GM, and that is Nick Aldis. I'll talk a little bit more about Nick Aldis in a hot minute on this show, so I won't forget about that. So make sure you stick around for that. But yeah, we saw Rhea Ripley go into the office of Adam Pearce, complaining about what all had went down, and he decided that, okay, tell you what, this is how we're going to take care of it. Boom. And we got that fatal 5-way match that's going to be coming up at Crown Jewel. So some nice development there. I would imagine going into this Friday's SmackDown, we'll continue to see more developments going into Crown Jewel. I would suspect that maybe a match or two from SmackDown will get announced as well. You know, we'll see how that pans out. Some other action on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Gunther defeating Bronson Reed. Boy, that was a long match. I felt that one went just a little bit too long for my personal taste. I don't know about you guys, but solid. It was solid. Look, don't get me wrong. I love seeing these two big, massive, behemoth men go up against one another, because both of these men in their own respected right are monsters. And so for Bronson Reed to be stringing together the victories that he's been able to string for himself in recent weeks, you know, seems like powers that be in WWE have this new purpose for him, have this new focus and everything. It's a new reset for the big man and everything. I like how everything has been playing out for the guy so far and everything. So going into this matchup, seeing how it played out at the end, I gotta say my expectations was actually pretty low for this one, but these two guys, as far as favorite matches of the night goes, I'll definitely give the nod to this one. This felt like physically, I'm gonna look at it more from a physical standpoint, probably one of the most, besides Chad Gable, probably the second physical most challenging title defense for Gunther, right? And that's how it should be. I mean, you're gonna be having this long title reign and everything. You know, there should be some, whew, can't believe I got out of that one, right? That was a close one. There should be some, damn, I'm fighting for my life here in regards to this, right? So I didn't mind that. I never felt like Bronson Reed was going to win the title. I never felt Gunther was in jeopardy of losing the title, but the way this played out for what it was worth, I'm a sucker for if you can have me on the edge of my seat thinking just maybe an upset was going to get pulled, and they did have me thinking a couple of times maybe something was going to go down here. So, but I thoroughly had enjoyed this one. I went almost 15 minutes, so I mean, I guess that's not really too long of a match for what it's worth. Yeah, I don't know. It just sometimes it kind of felt like maybe it was going a little bit longer than that, but almost 15 minutes. That's not really too shabby. Becky Lynch is continuing to give out title shots for her NXT Women's title like Halloween candy. She's getting the head start there. So she's going to be giving Indy Hartwell a shot for the title next week, because Indy, I mean, she never did lose the title, right? So, and she never really got that rematch for it. So this match is going to be going down next week, assuming Shawn Michaels gives his nod of approval. Yet again, we see another consecutive appearance by the lovely Xia Li, who is pretty salty over the fact that she's yet to get her shot. Since Becky is throwing out all these shots, she wants one as well. Becky tells her, hey, call your shot anytime, any place. And Xia Li is saying, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get back to you, but it's definitely going to be on my time. So this is what I don't understand. I mean, because I just thought this was so stupid. It really made this girl look really, really stupid, Xia Li. And I know it's not Xia Li's fault, but I'm just thinking about how this was laid out. So you have Xia Li basically appear, and she's going, "Hey man, I see what you're doing. I see you giving out all these title shot opportunities and everything, and here I am over here all in the cold. I'm fighting, I'm scratching, I'm trying to do what I can to survive. I'm trying to reach back to the heights that I once had before. I don't know, gee, this company had forgot about me? Because it seems like I'm yesterday's old news, the way I've been treated as of late. I mean, I'm seeing you over here, though. You're giving all these people opportunities. Where's my opportunity? Won't you give me a crack? Let me get a taste of that title. What's up? Right? Yeah, that's how I'm picturing Xia Li. And Becky's just, yeah, sure. Hey, you want a shot? Yeah, call it. Go ahead. You name the time. You name the place. I'm game. What's up? And we've got Xia Li, rather than say, that's what's up, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, I'll get back to you on the here and when, right? I don't know. We just see her go, yeah, it'll be on my time. I'll get back to you. It's like, they just made her come off so damn weak and idiotic. I didn't like that one little bit. I did not like that one little bit. You know, I mean, that would be the equivalent to you're at a bar, you know, you see somebody attractive who you're interested in, you know, maybe hollering at, you go, you introduce yourself, you know, and say, hey, you know, what are you drinking? You know, I'm buying. And then you're hoping that maybe in the process, you know, hey, look, I'm not trying to mess up your groove or anything. You know, I see you're with, you know, your girlfriends or whatever, but, you know, hey, maybe I can take you out sometime. Just write your name and number down, and right. And, you know, now sometimes it won't go the way that you hope that it goes. But then there's those other times where if your game is on point, you got it on lockdown, dog, you gonna get them digits. Now, after you get them digits, you probably inside, right, internally, you're going to be a little bit flabbergasted. You're going to be going, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe it. I got the numbers. You know, but you got to play it smooth. You got to, hey, all right, that's what's up. Okay, all right, well, here. I just called you just now. You know, that's my number. You can just program it into your phone when you get a chance. You know, hey, cool, right? You know, you got to be cool. You got to be, you know, and the way Xia just came off after being awarded a verbal shot for the title, yeah, she just retreated like a fucking patsy. I didn't like that whatsoever, man. I'm telling you, I did not like that whatsoever. Some other stuff from tonight. Oh, what else had happened on this card? Yeah, Johnny Gargano taking on Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah, I kind of like the way that they had did this, because the match itself, average at best. It was average at best. But the way that this pretty much was executed, this was really about selling the fact that Gargano is alone because Tommaso Ciampa, what Imperium had did to him last week, he is still suffering the injuries of that, so no telling when he's going to be returning. So Gargano pretty much fighting this fight all by himself, and this was obviously about the Imperium numbers, right? The game just being a little bit too much for Johnny Gargano and everything, right? Now, not for nothing, but Giovanni Vinci, you know, he was at ringside and he was doing stuff at his respective end to make sure that Kaiser came out of this with the win. Because remember that thing that Gunther had said to them a couple of weeks ago, y'all got to watch each other's backs, because if you fail, then you fail, and when y'all fail, you fail me, and we can't be having that, right? Because he's at this point ready to get rid of some dead weight. That's pretty much what I'm hearing from Gunther. So later on in the night, Gunther gave Ludwig Kaiser his props. Giovanni Vinci pretty quick to mention the fact that, you know, he had a hand in and helping out in that, because Gunther looked at Vinci like, you didn't do nothing, right? Like, he didn't do nothing. So once Vinci tried to say his piece, then we heard the next challenge that was put out there, which was, okay, Johnny Gargano, he might have lost this match tonight against Kaiser, but he's still walking around. No. Next week, Vinci beat this guy so bad that he has to be stretchered out. So that's the challenge for next week. So no pressure whatsoever. So obviously, our boy Kaiser, because Gunther has some parting shots for him, saying, make sure it happens, right? So, right, these guys, whether they like each other or not right now, I'm talking about Kaiser and Vinci, whether they like each other or not, that's irrelevant right now. They gotta be on the same freaking team when this is all said and done, right? Until they can get champagne and caviar dreams elsewhere, their meal ticket right now is pretty much Gunther, right? So they gotta play ball for the time being. Hey, shout out to my brother Kofi Kingston. I did not know this until they showed the video footage during tonight's Raw broadcast, and that is, obviously we know, he's from Ghana and everything, and how near and dear home is to him and everything. We all have known that over the years, but I did not know that he has spent X amount of years trying to get the permits, get funding, and you name it, to get a library slash recreational center opened up in his home country, and he finally was able to do it. And that is just amazing. I can't help but just tip my hat to the brother when I hear that. That's what I always am talking about whenever you see me say something along the lines of pay it forward, always forward, giving back. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. And, you don't have to do anything on that wide of a scale, but if you're able to, right, there's no dream that's too little or too big, right? Anything is possible when you set your mind to it, right? But just hearing that just, it did my spirit a lot of good, hearing that. You have no idea, because there's so much ugliness that is going on in this world right now that it's not even funny. So to hear something like that, where young brother has been taking all of the good fortunes that's been coming his way, as he's been blessed for many, many years and everything, and the way that he's giving it back. I had learned a lot about Ghana and other parts of Africa, South Africa, and all that from my professor. She had trying to figure out what's the right word I want to use. Not a pilgrimage, it wasn't, but she did do some volunteer work during the summer. So it wasn't a case where she was gone for a week or two. She was gone. I can't remember. I want to say maybe she was in Zimbabwe. I'll find out, because I won't see her again, sadly, not until next week. But I'll ask her what country that was, again, the major city and all that she had visited. But she was out there for about 3, almost 4 months. And she was telling us it's just crazy stuff that you hear, like little things that we take for granted, right? Like, for instance, I find it amazing that in 2023, I can walk into a classroom and I can see a classroom that's filled with Macintoshes, okay? And we've got maybe 1 or 2 students that are complaining because they don't like Macintoshes, or they don't like the mouse that comes with a Mac, and they want to use their own, right? And it's like, dude, really? You're gonna nitpick on some stuff like how lucky and fortunate, right? And leave it to our professor to say, where she was studying and all that, teaching and everything, they didn't have those kind of computers. These guys were pushing computers from, BS you not, these guys were pushing computers from the early to mid 90s. Just imagine pushing that in 2023. That is just, that is really, really bad on so many levels. So, basically the whole point of me mentioning all of that is to say, it's the little things that we as Americans, also, some parts in Canada, Australia, but, mainly I'm focusing on North America. So it's the little things that we take for granted because in other countries, they aren't as caught up on the latest tech trends, gadget trends like we are and other countries are. Some are still 10, 15, 20, 25 years behind, believe it or not. So yeah, I know that's kind of crazy to hear, but a lot of that is still going on in 2023, believe it or not. So to see and hear how Kofi Kingston is paying it forward, I like that, and I really hope that more brothers and sisters find that story very inspiring to want to try to do their own thing and everything. Feel where I'm coming from. Shinsuke Nakamura defeating Ricochet in a wasn't that a Falls Count? Yeah, that was a Falls Count Anywhere match. Pretty solid. I actually enjoyed that one. That was pretty good from the boys there. Piper Niven beating up Natalya. I fast forward the hell out of that bad boy. Pretty decent episode of Monday Night Raw overall. I mean, it did have that good big deal vibe to it because the way this was dubbed, it was the season finale and everything. You also had a nice advancement of several stories, some of the ones that we just highlighted and everything, right? So I mean, that's pretty good for what it's worth. One of the more fun, better editions of Monday Night Raw in a good while, because sometimes those 3 hours, it can be a lot. It can be a lot to take in, especially if after that first hour, the first 90 minutes, you pretty much, okay, so I'm good. Why am I continuing to hang on here, right? And the other thing that was pretty good too is getting that declaration by Sami Zayn, heartbroken that Kevin Owens has now been drafted over to SmackDown, but that he knows KO is going to do big things, just as he's going to try to do big things, because for the first time in a long time, he's on his own. He's looking to carve out his own little niche in the WWE universe. He wants to make a claim for himself belonging in the main event title picture. So that was his declaration that he made tonight. So that was, it was good seeing that right down to the point. Next week on Raw, we're going to see Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn go one-on-one with one another, because Drew still has a bone to pick on with Sammy in regards to Jay being on the Raw brand, and Sammy was trying to state his piece and everything, but seemed like that was just continuing to fall on deaf ears. And I like, speaking of story arcs, I like what's going on there with Drew and Seth Rollins. Drew is still pretty pissed off at the fact that he became a WWE champion during the most darkest period in the company's history, which was during the pandemic era. And, that was a lot. Nobody will ever take away, and shout out if you remember who all the champions were, not just for WWE, but for the other promotions as well. Shout out if you remember who all the world champions were for men and women across all the promotions back then. It was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, it was definitely some challenging times as far as how we as fans were going about consuming our entertainment while trying to keep our minds off of the pandemic, and how these wrestling promotions were trying to do what they do best, which is entertain us. And in some of those instances, we saw some pretty innovative ways. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. It's very interesting. It was very interesting. Like when you play it back in your mind from way back then, And what Drew was doing, Drew was carrying the hell out of the WWE. I felt he put that company on his back and he rode that bad boy out. You can say what you will about other people, including Roman Reigns and all of that, but Drew went out there. Hey, if he caught COVID, he caught COVID, but he was going to keep going out there, entertain, do his very best. And I remember saying in regards to that, when he had lost the title, and I've said it numerous times since, shout out if you remember, I basically said, make no mistake about it, Drew will be a WWE champion again. There is at least 3 to 4 more runs coming that guy's way before he hangs up the boots for good. Make no mistake about that. So it's interesting how these past couple of weeks they've been kind of dabbling into that specific period for Drew McIntyre and how he's just been fighting and clawing his way to get back to the dance ever since and all that. So I like that interesting dynamic that we got going on there. Muhammad is asking the question, Lee, do you mean tourists or any humanitarian work by any chance means? I don't know exactly what are you trying to ask, Muhammad. Are you trying to ask if you got to clean that up a little bit, because I don't know what you mean by that. I know we were talking about Kofi Kingston and basically what he was doing there as far as paying it forward and everything. Paying it forward, it doesn't just have to mean humanitarian work. It doesn't just have to mean tourism. It could just be something as simple as, I'll give you a perfect example without it being long-winded. What used to be a saving grace for me growing up as a kid, south side of Chicago, was the fact that when my mom had to work long hours, and sometimes she wouldn't be able to get off work until, sometimes 8, almost 9 o'clock at night, what would be a really like a lifesaver, what came as a really good clutch for me during those times, especially on weekends when she would be asked to pick up a couple of shifts on weekends, would be the Boys and Girls Club. And the Boys and Girls Club, we only had but a couple in Chicago, at least the neighborhood where I was at. I mean, you had a ton of them in Chicago, but when you broke it down by ward/jurisdiction, there was only like maybe 2 or 3 in this particular zone. And I remember way back then, there was only 2 Boys and Girls Clubs that I can remember, and only one of them was actually right around the corner from my house, whereas the other one, that took like about 2 hours to get over there. That was a lifesaver for me, because those times when my mom was gonna, not be able to get home in time to make me dinner and all that other stuff, I could just easily go to the Boys and Girls Club. I could get my homework done. I could do some fun activities with the counselors there. And sometimes they would do sleepovers on the weekends. Knock on wood, the moms has to pick up a shift or 2 on the weekends. I'm in the clear because I can just fill out that little permission slip, right? Get 3 square meals for, what is it? Well, you get 2 meals. I think when you did the sleepover at the Boys and Girls Club, I think that went down Friday night. They would keep you. They had you all day Saturday, and then they'd let you go Sunday morning, like around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. They made sure you had breakfast though before they sent you along your way. It was pretty cool. But that always had stuck to me. Stuck to me and everything. So that for me, I always said, man, if I ever make it big as far as paying it back, paying it forward, I would like to maybe try to do something where I could maybe open up some type of a
a similar recreational center like that. I remember I even did like a mocked up proposal for one of my classes a couple of months back that was well received. You know, to the point I had my professor say to me, you need to try to see if you can actually pitch this to some of the councilmen and see if maybe they can actually look into this and have this come to fruition. I mean, when you had mentioned when your professor went on vacation and everything on the summer, that's what I meant. I said, Muhammad, in regards to my professor, she had did some type of volunteer work where she was teaching at a school. That's what she was doing. And if I'm not mistaken, she was not paid for that work. She was not paid for that work. It was just purely volunteer, and that's about as much as I'm going to say in regards to that, because I don't want to say too much more about that, especially since I'm starting to think about it. Some of my classmates from time to time, they'll pop up and I'll hear the weirdest thing from them. It's like the next time I'm in class, I'll have one of them say, hey, I was watching your show, or something like that. So I don't want to say too much more, but as long as you get the gist of what I'm saying, as far as, and this just goes to everybody, as long as you get the general message that I'm saying as far as paying it forward, you know, giving back to your community and then some, that's the biggest takeaway. You know, hopefully that is what you took away from that, right? And it's never too late to give back to your community and then some. But yeah, nice fun episode of Monday Night Raw for what it was worth. I definitely had enjoyed it. So we did pretty good there, getting the talk of Raw out the way. I mean, we did that in like about, I would say 30 minutes tops. And we've been on the air now for about 46 minutes total, I'm seeing. So we are rocking and rolling so far. Hey, before we go any further, I definitely want to take this time out on a non-wrestling related tip, and I want to extend my heartfelt condolences, thoughts, prayers, best wishes, and sincerely, this is coming from a place of good, and I'm just, my heart right now, it aches, and it's with the family, friends, colleagues. Hell, I'm definitely mourning with fellow fans as well of actress Suzanne Summers. She passed away over the weekend at the age of 76. She was just a couple of days shy of her 77th birthday. Her 77th birthday is today, October 16th, at least while it's still the 16th here on the East Coast. This would have been her 77th birthday, but she didn't make it. She passed away over the weekend. She was surrounded by close friends, family members when she passed. Now, the family, you know, they're asking for privacy and all that, very understandably so. Yet you have a lot of folks going, what's going on? What had caused her to pass away? Like, this doesn't make sense, because every time you saw Suzanne Summers, you automatically recognized her face. She had a very distinct look, you know, a great build, because she was always into health and fitness. And so, you know, it's like she might have been 70 something, but body wise, I mean, she, you know, for the longest time, I can just remember Suzanne Summers' body got to a point where it was just, wow, that's a great body for a middle-aged woman. Like, you know, I don't know, like late 30s to mid 40s. You're going, her body just stayed looking like that, even going into her 50s and then going into her 60s and all that. And, you know, she definitely knew how to do it. She knew how to do it, man. I mean, you guys have no idea. You guys have no idea, because, you know, we're talking about a whole different beast when it came to the entertainment industry back in the 70s, the 1980s, hell, even the 90s, but you really gotta home in on how it was during the 70s and everything. Suzanne Summers, this was a woman made a name for herself with her looks, was doing her thing, modeling, and one thing led into another and all that. And when, of course, everybody remembers when she had got that big break doing Three's Company as Chrissy Snow. I loved her on that show, man. I loved her. John Ritter, I messed with John Ritter. That was my boy as Jack Tripper. I messed with him. But I just felt Chrissy and Jack, there was just a great 1-2 punch that they had. I always felt that the Joyce DeWitt character, she would have her moments, but she needed somebody to play off of. Whereas Jack and Chrissy, they would do just fine by themselves for maybe the entire show, or if they're gonna do something by teaming up together, that's gonna be some comedic gold right there. And Chrissy, I don't think Suzanne Summers, I don't think she had got a big head on her shoulders and everything, but she got to a point where she wanted to get more money for her role as Chrissy Snow. She wanted to get something that was as close to what John Ritter was getting. And that fell on deaf ears. And when that fell on deaf ears, she took that personal. Now, she could have easily just let it be and just said, you know what, I'm making my money. We got a hit TV show. I'm just going to let it be. I'm good to go. But she stood her ground, and she said, hey, no, that's not right. What you guys are doing, that's totally unfair, and I carry just as much weight as he does. What the hell? And so she just decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna roll out from the show then. And ultimately what they did, if you guys remember, you had what was it, because I think the Chrissy Snow character, that Chrissy Snow character lasted 3, maybe 4 seasons. But the final season, the way they try to explain her absence, she was somewhere in another state, I don't know, taking care of a family member, some weird crap that they would do, that they would do, or they'd have some crap where, oh, you just missed a phone call from Chrissy, oh, how's she doing? Oh, she's, and that's how they kind of used to do it back then. Like, if there was something going on with one of their lead stars of a TV show, they would kind of figure out a way to write them out. I mean, the most infamous from that time period of the 70s, hands down, has to be the whole Red Fox contract fiasco on Sanford and Son. And if you don't know anything about that, go research that. But I remember, like, towards the end of the 3rd season, like, Red Fox, he was having some serious contractual disputes, and he threatened to quit Sanford and Son as a result. And the next thing you know, what's his name? Grady had stepped in for like about, damn, how many was that? I think he stepped in for like 8 episodes. But it was basically like the last 4 or 5 episodes of the 3rd season, and then it was like the first 4 or 5 episodes for the 4th season before they finally were able to square everything up with Red Fox, get him to come back. But he wanted more money when it was all said and done. And the show, Three's Company, it just was not the same after Suzanne Summers left. I mean, yeah, they tried it with, I think Terry was the nurse. I thought she was okay, but nothing that was, that chemistry was just, this was a whole different chemistry. And for some people, it might have not been a bad thing, but for old school heads like me, it's like, nah, man, Chrissy was where it was at. That's right. And then let's not forget the Chrissy's cousin. I can't think of her name, but she had curly, puffy hair They tried to basically do a Chrissy Snow 2.0 version. That was a very piss poor attempt at trying to replace something original that was good. But Suzanne Summers, she kept trucking along. She had continued to find really good work for herself in the entertainment business. I know she had a couple of different talk shows at one point. Shout out if you remember the Thigh Master infomercials. Them Thigh Master infomercials, she made some serious coin off of those damn things, man. I'm telling you, there's a reason why when you go back and look at vintage episodes of Beavis and Butthead and you see them and they're Beavis, look, and they see her doing the thing with the Thigh Masters, right? There's a reason at one point that I'm telling you, man, go back, don't believe me, go back and look up those Thigh Master infomercials with Suzanne Summers back in the day. Them joints, man. If that didn't make you want to go grab your partner and have some afternoon delight, I don't know what to tell you. Of course, ABC show Step by Step with who is that? Patrick? Is it Patrick Duffy? Patrick Dempsey? That was a great show. I never missed an episode of Step by Step. I watched all of them, even when Cody had left for a little bit and I forgot who they brought in as his replacement. I think it was one of the guys from Perfect Strangers. But I watched every single episode of Step by Step. I thought she kicked ass on that show. It's nice that before John Ritter died, she was able to make peace with the man. Because ever since that whole contractual crap had went down, they had went practically 20 years without talking to one another. And so luckily they were able to make peace and bury the hatchet. I think it came 2, maybe 3 years before John Ritter had passed away. So just crazy, man. Just freaking crazy. But rest in power, rest in peace to Suzanne Summers. I don't want to really, but there's reports floating around out there that as far as breast cancer, like she was diagnosed with breast cancer many years ago. And apparently, as far as the traditional way you go about, fighting some form of cancer, all right, once you've got the diagnosis, they do the scans and all that to try to pinpoint, okay, well, is this something we can operate on, or is it going to mess around? Okay, well, can we do radiation treatments, right? Chemotherapy and all that, right? And just from the little bit that I was able to gather up, I haven't been able to confirm this yet because I want to do a little bit more research, but just from the little bit I was gathering up about all of this, it seems that, you would think it's a no-brainer. She's going to go for the chemotherapy, the surgery, and all that other stuff. But apparently she decided that she wanted to try to look into herbal medicine, practices that would make the professionals say, we can't endorse that. We don't know for a fact this is going to work. So we're kind of saying, yeah, don't do that, right? Because that hasn't been medically proven to work, right? So, weird, very weird. Just what I was reading up in regards to that. But I mean, hey, if that's what she wanted to do, it's her right, it's her body, That's what makes America so beautiful, man. It's like, free, express yourself the way you want and all of that. So rest in peace to Suzanne Summers. I'm sure that her death, I'm sure that's going to have a lot of other people wondering just, okay, so how exactly did she pass away? What exactly took her out? And then to find out essentially what I found out, that's going to make some people kind of look at that a little sideways. But it's like, that's how she wanted to roll. That is how she wanted to roll. It almost kind of reminds me of one of my favorite all-time actors, and that is Mr. Bullet, Steve McQueen himself. I remember he was diagnosed with a form of stomach cancer, if I remember right. And I don't think Steve McQueen had got surgery. I don't think he wanted to go the surgery route because he wasn't trying to be gone for an extended period of time or something like that. And I remember he tried to look up herbal therapy and some other stuff, and who knows what would have happened had maybe he went the route of, let's try to see if we can get surgery on this. Second of all, if I were to get surgery, can I survive the surgery? Third, as far as the recovery timetable goes, how long am I going to be out of action? What are we talking? Can I afford it? Right? It's one of those type of crazy deals, but yeah. Also, want to give a shout out to The Walking Dead for a fantastic season of The Walking Dead's Daryl Dixon. It was only active for 6 episodes, so they pretty much were in and out. They did all those episodes consecutively, weekend after weekend, and they just did their season finale Sunday night. It was like a 90-minute special, and they went out on such a high note. I'm not gonna put any spoilers out there. I mean, forgive me if you don't, if you haven't watched it yet and you got it on your DVR. But man, I'm very excited for the second season. Those of you that have seen the season finale, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm very, very excited for season 2. We're going to have to wait a little bit, though, until we're able to get that. I like it. I got to tell you, when I initially saw the trailer for Daryl Dixon, I'm going, And then I started paying attention to the usual circle of friends that talk about The Walking Dead, with my number one amigo, Julian Cannon of the Nocturnal and Digiday, being at the top of the list. And Julian is the all day, all night, he's the Walking Dead guy. He's got all the info and everything. And, his takes on certain episodes, I've never disagreed with his review or his viewpoint. So when I started hearing the early buzz from him, because he actually was able to get a hold, I don't know if he had got all 6 episodes, but I know he definitely had got at least a couple of episodes. And he pretty much was like, this show you're gonna love. It's really, really good. And sure enough, I liked it. I gotta say, I thought Dead City, I thought nothing could top Dead City. Daryl Dixon topped Dead City in my mind. I have not seen Fear the Walking Dead. Now that show is coming to an end, I will one day catch up on it when I get a free moment. So I'm hearing a lot of good things about that. A lot of people were saying the same thing. First 3-4 seasons, pretty good. After they do a hard reset, I think they do it like around season 5 or whatever. That's when it starts to kind of pick up again or whatever. So, but yeah, good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. All right, so let's get into a couple other little tidbits while we're still on the air here. We can get into some wrestling-related news and whatnot. What is going on with Tony Khan and this whole social media stuff? I mean, seriously, by now, everybody that has some form of internet knows what I'm talking about. But, we've seen Tony Khan. He was on these little tirades, taking little jabs at WWE, taking little jabs at Triple H and all this other stuff, right? This all had to do with the Tuesday Night War and everything. That's what it had to do with. And you just did not want to be on social media Wednesday afternoon about close to 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because you knew that's when the ratings info was going to be put out there, because you just knew that 9 times out of 10 AEW was going to lose this. The question was just about how bad was the margin of defeat gonna be? Was it gonna be close? as far as the viewership goes and all that. And I was expecting for Tony Khan to jump out there, put some type of a message where he says, hey, look, to all the men and women that have performed on Tuesday's AEW Dynamite, love and respect the hell out of you guys. Shout out to our great production crew. You guys killed it. We did great, man. I'm telling you, these are great times that we're in to be a fan of AEW, because we've done this, we've list off all the little joints of accomplishments, the milestones that you all have accomplished in 2023, and how, hey, there's still a couple of months left in 2023. Who knows how this year is going to end, but turn everything into a positive and everything. And yeah, we didn't go in that direction. Instead, we witnessed a man having a social media mental breakdown. It wasn't even funny. I mean, at one point, we see somebody with a AI image of Shawn Michaels holding a Booker of the Year plaque award. And we've got Tony Khan jumping out there saying, no, any chance that Shawn Michaels had of potentially getting that award, he blew his chances out of the water last night. It's like, why should you care about some plaque, some name? And I get that Tony Khan is from the wrestling circle / generation of that fan that would spend all the time on the AOL chat boards and all that. I get that, right? I mean, but I remember growing up as a wrestling fan, I spent some of my free time in those same type of messaging boards, and you didn't see me after a certain point. I gotta, whatever I'm thinking, I'm just putting it out there without a carefree in the world, and damn the repercussions. I'm just gonna say what I feel like, and that's just gonna be the end of it. No, you actually have to put some type of thought process into the things that you post on social media, because it's gonna be out there in the open for any and everybody to interpret. And to see this man respond to these accounts where their sole agenda is to get a rise, is to troll. That's it. It's the number one agenda. They're just trolling. If there was ever okay, you know what? I don't need to be bothered with this. I'm just going to hit the mute button, or I'm just going to block this person, and that's going to be the end of it. I'm not going to see them ever again. Keep it moving along. This guy who, I mean, he wears so many different hats, not just in the NFL, but I mean, right? He's got all these different hats, and he's finding this time to interact with people who he's never ever gonna lay his eyes on. He's never gonna cross paths with these people in real life. And he's letting all these individuals take up real estate in his head like that. It is just unhealthy. It is just unhealthy when you consume yourself with social media like that. You are riding down one slippery slope, and it can be hazardous to your mental health. Have we all forgotten about Hana Kimura? We saw how that played out. Have we forgotten about Mauro Ranallo? Mauro Ranallo, there was one person I used to love looking forward to seeing post-wise on social media. It was Mauro Ranallo. But man, the trolls just coming from out of the woodwork ultimately got the best of that guy, who's already having, some pretty bad days as it is, right? Because, as we all know, he's dealing with a bipolar disorder, right? He has good days and he has bad days. So just imagine taking somebody in that fragile state of mind, such as Morrow's, and then we're going to just introduce this little thing over here called social media. We're going to throw that into the mix, and he pulled out just in time. I'm just looking at this stuff with Tony Khan, and I'm just going, where is this guy? How is this guy able to find the time to interact with all of these? And then the icing on the cake, just when I thought this couldn't get any worse, to then see this man slide into the DMs of a fan. And then this guy was just minding his own business. This is really what makes it even more weirder, is the fact that this fan wasn't even adding Tony Khan. He was just responding to a TMZ article. He basically quoted the article and said his little piece on it. Wasn't, throwing shade at Tony Khan. He had, nice choice of words that he had used and everything. The next thing you know, Tony Khan just barges into his DMs, and you're going, whoa, what the hell is this all about? Travis, shout out to him on social media. He expanded a full post on this whole thing. Looks like he typed up something maybe on his iPad or whatnot, and then put it out on social media and everything. Add that on top of the whole anti-Semitic crap that went down from last week's Dynamite. Look, I'm not gonna get into that whole spiel, but if you want to know what I think about that in a nutshell, I'm gonna break it down to you just like this. This is 2023. A lot of the stuff that wrestling promotions used to do back in the day, doing their little rip from the headlines and trying to take parts of it, use it for a wrestling story arc and all that, all in the whole good versus evil, all of that stuff. Times have changed. This is 2023. This is the age of cancel culture. This is the age of, I'm gonna hurt you where it hurts the most. I'm gonna come after your sponsors. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, because there's enough grounds for it. Like, what the hell? You have to be very mindful, and you have to be strategic in the way that you are trying to go about telling certain stories on television. And just that whole stuff that went down with that MJF, the roll of quarters, all of that stuff. And that is just days removed from everything that's been happening overseas. And we don't have somebody in AEW that has the common sense to go, wait a minute now, from a public relations, real world perspective, and just, hey, telling you right now, we're going to catch a lot of heat for this if we go in this direction. Strongly would advise we back the hell up off of this. We don't need to be involved with this whatsoever. No. So I love MJF. I think the world of him. Very entertaining, very engaging. I know at the end of the day, a lot of people think that maybe this was all MJF's idea. I don't know about all of that. I'm not saying no to it. I'm just saying I don't know if there's just so many hands that's at play here in my book, that as far as accountability goes, there's a lot of people that's at fault for this. This segment should have never gotten the green light. If this was WWE, I'd say the same thing. If this was Impact, I'd say the same thing. If this was NWA, all right. So for what it's worth, I don't care that in this go around it's AEW. I would say this regardless of the promotion that is operating this way in 2023. Sometimes you gotta just learn how to read the room and Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So this is what Travis, young man that had Tony Khan slide into his DMs and all that. Here's what he had to say as he pretty much had grouped everything together, giving his thoughts on just everything that transpired with his interactions with Tony Khan and all. This past week, All Elite Wrestling AEW aired a segment during an episode of their flagship program, Dynamite on TBS, which featured the company's world champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, and Juice Robinson. During the segment, Robinson threatened MJF while holding a roll of quarters with MJF's name written on it. Robinson has used a roll of quarters in his fists against opponents for many years in previous wrestling companies. But what set this particular segment apart is that MJF is a Jewish man who has shared openly about him being bullied in the past and having quarters thrown at him during his childhood, and children telling him to, quote unquote, pick them up, Jew. Many fans watching this segment were shocked and felt were undertones of anti-Semitism woven into the storyline. While using cultural issues has been a part of professional wrestling storytelling for years, right? No doubt about it. It was my opinion just 3 days after Israel had been attacked by terrorists. It was a poorly timed and tasteless moment which had been approved for live television by Tony Khan, owner of AEW. I changed the channel after witnessing the segment with a sick feeling in my stomach. The next day, following massive public backlash, national media reported on the event, including Fox News, NESN, TMZ, and others. I quote tweeted one article, which was TMZ, which had been published by TMZ about the Jewish trope. That afternoon, Tony Khan sent me a direct message which seemingly expressed his displeasure with my criticism, saying it wasn't doing much good. And I got the point after your second tweet. Yeah, so basically, Tony Khan slid into his DM because I saw some of the screenshots, and he basically said, hey, the message has been heard loud and clear. The segment wasn't well received. Okay, I get it. There was really no reason for you to post that article. We share that article. You've basically already beaten the horse to death, right? And saying it again isn't really doing much good. That was his message to this fan. I responded by asking him if he frequently messaged fans who criticize him, and then provided more fidelity of my opinion and a suggestion to use the moment for good and to address it publicly. He then replied, I know exactly who you are in Jacksonville. That's why I reached out. I still do not know what he meant by that, but he has yet to follow up. I do not make it a practice to share direct messages sent to me on Twitter, but I felt this one in particular required attention due to his blatant dismissal of a legitimate concern regarding anti-Semitic rhetoric during heightened tensions and increasing violence towards Jews in the U.S. and around the world. I do not believe a billionaire is above accountability, nor do I believe it is appropriate to message fans with a belittling response. Jacksonville, Florida has experienced increased hatred directed towards Jews, with messages of hate being projected on our stadium and buildings downtown, and literal Nazis waving their flags on an overpass. With AEW being headquartered in Jacksonville, one would think Khan would be more sensitive to the issue, especially given the geopolitical crisis in Israel. But he seems unable to read the room. So that's where we are with that. just, and to Travis's point, and it's definitely worth going out of your ways to read about this story, but just to give you guys a really good idea about this, everything, right? In the state of Illinois, some old white man, I believe in his late 60s, early 70s, walked up to a young boy and his mother. I don't know if he pulled out a knife or whatnot. I think the boy was 6 or 7 years old. I believe the mom was in her 30s. And he just went to slashing the both of them. I believe both of them are dead. But he basically targeted them because they looked Islamic to him. Yeah, this is what we're dealing with right now. This is the current climate that we're dealing with right now. So, yeah, the timing of it was just really, 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 right down to the point. You knew what was up by the time you got to Collision, and the commentators made no reference to the spot with MJF, the Roll of Quarters. They did not even replay the footage from that respected Dynamite on Collision. So that tells you everything that you need to know right then and there, right? That tells you everything that you need to know. I'm very curious to see of the next round of people that get an opportunity to interview Tony Khan. I'm very curious which one of them is going to go for the jugular and say, look, got to follow up with you on what had went down here with, that whole controversial segment and, seeing your response to, this one fan. And, we never did see you publicly, take this on the chin and, apologize to AEW fans, wrestling fans that maybe feel the way Travis does. This is your opportunity right now. What do you say to those, those young men, those young women? And you know why you're not going to get anybody that's going to challenge Tony Khan, that's not going to go for the jugular and get him to go on record? They're all too scared. They don't want to lose that AEW access. They want to continue to play footsie and have the bragging rights of, hey, we interviewed Tony Khan, Jacksonville Jaguars, AEW, and they don't want to lose that connection. They don't want to lose that connection. So we've got this man that's spending all this free time going back and forth with people that, are obviously trolls. But then those that are just legit, hey man, been a supporter, and this Travis, go through his timeline, big AEW supporter, right? So, you show me a person like that, and if I am somehow familiar, I don't know how Tony Khan is familiar with this Travis person, but, for him to be somehow familiar with, that would have been a great opportunity. You don't have to slide into the guy's DMs. That would have been a great opportunity to just quote tweet that, respond to it by saying, Travis, I'm sorry that we let you down. Promise it won't happen again. We're definitely looking at this as a learning experience, and we're only going to grow and become better from it as a result. Just wait and see. Don't believe in the words, believe in the soon to come action that you'll be seeing that'll as a result of this. Just be patient and watch. Or just don't say nothing at all. This is one of those moments here, man, where it's interesting because all the other men and women that have their social media accounts, obviously there is somebody in charge at AEW that is, staying on top of, what this person is saying. And obviously we know that there is such thing as a synchronized attack. We saw what went down there with poor Lufisto a couple of months back and everything. But it would kind of come off that as far as Tony Khan and his posts being, it seems like he's not falling under those same parameters that the talents are being held under. It seems like whatever he wants to say and or do, he's able to put that out there. But I tell you what, it's one thing to go, okay, obviously this man is trying to play the social media game, and he's just trying to create a little bit of controversy here and everything. But we've seen too many instances where the shit has just blown up in his face. You think about the post that he did just a day after the whole stuff about ratings and all that, where he decided to mention Mayo Clinic and his mom, and so now as you're reading these series of posts, you're going, are you bringing this stuff up with your mom to try to pull some type of a victim card? Are you looking for sympathy here? What exactly? And then he somehow links it back to alleged WWE contract. He links it to AEW contract tampering by WWE. And it's like, that is some huge, bold public allegations that you're making out there. That is definitely a form of slander. That's something you really don't want to be saying all out there like that on social media, especially if WWE and crew want to make that be a little bit hard for you. And they've got all that money. If they want to take you to court just to sue you off of slander alone, right? It's like, you got to be careful when it comes to stuff like that. And I mean, look, I'm sorry his mom went through what she went through, but it sounds like she's in a much better place now, thanks to the Mayo Clinic. They helped her out big time, and and this was what, that 1 year anniversary of that and everything. Okay, well, you know what? How about just, I don't know, how about just do a separate post where you're thanking the Mayo Clinic, the team at the Mayo Clinic, for your mom and blah this, blah that. How about you go in that direction and just leave it at that? Don't even mention the stuff with WWE, right? So it was really weird watching all of these guys, watching this man's posts, just post after post after post going into the weekend. It's just gotten to a point where not only have I said, WTF, what the hell is going on with Tony Khan, but I'm also looking at this and I'm saying, Tony, for the love of God, man, just take a step back. And I've said this before, not for nothing. Myself, other friends, colleagues in the podcasting world, we all have said this. And it's interesting because word for word, what we have said, we know to some extent it is reaching the ears of Tony Khan, because either he is making the rounds, seeing what different shows are saying, or he's got a little small team of people that's going and saying to him, what is being said, certain publications, podcasts, things of that nature. And I say this because when we've all collectively said this as a whole, as one voice, it seemed like Tony Khan was good for a couple of months, and next thing you know, it's just the bad attitude, the behavior, it starts back up again. For the love of God, Tony Khan, you got to just stay with it, man. You can't just keep going out there on social media, and you can't just be saying all of this, what comes off very bipolarish rhetoric, talking out of both sides of your mouth, right? Just let it be about your talent. Let it be about the men and women that's busting their ass in that ring. Let it be about your commentators. Let it be about them. Just wave that flag for AEW, wave that flag for all of those people. Let it be about that. Taking the shots at WWE for the fact that they couldn't even pull a million viewers, and they had Undertaker, John Cena, and what the hell. I wouldn't have been so quick to even bring that up, because it's, well, wait a minute, dude. You've got Edge, Adam Copeland on your show. The very first episode of Dynamite he appears on, and that show only did like 600 and something thousand viewers. Meanwhile, his very last match, which was televised in WWE just a couple of weeks ago, was a match that he had against Sheamus. That had got 2 point something million viewers. Like you don't want to, right? You want to send the right kind of message, man, and just all this rhetoric that I have been seeing coming from this guy as of late, it comes off like someone who, as always, does not like the littlest form of constructive criticism, even when it's being done in the most polite, respectful way. He is just throwing a fit like a mofo, and the way that he lashes out, it's just, oof. It's very alarming. It is very alarming. I wonder how long it's going to be before Edge, Adam Copeland. I see what CM Punk was dealing with here. I wonder how long it's going to be before he decides to take himself on through to the other side. Speaking of CM Punk, so you see all this rhetoric that's going on with CM Punk, right? What's going on with CM Punk, right? We got a lot of these reports that's being put out there that's saying, oh yeah, WWE, they don't want to have anything to do with CM Punk. Oh yeah, well, the powers that be, mainly Vince McMahon, but Nick Khan, Triple H had to say to it as well, and it was decided that the pros outweigh the bad, and in this case, there's a lot of baggage there, a lot of negative baggage there with Punk. So it's a no for Punk. Right? You see all this stuff about no in regards to CM Punk. Look, even if that was the truth, boys and girls, let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody said that it's forever. Nobody said it was forever. WWE may have very well said, hey, look, we just got a lot of things lined up right now. We are good all the way through WrestleMania and everything. And honestly, even if we can access this guy right now, there's really nothing we can do with him right now. Knocking on wood, but all the pieces that we got in place right now, we are good. We are good through WrestleMania 2024. We are good. So we can't really, there's no way we can factor him in right now. For all we know, the powers that be in WWE might have told Phil Brooks straight up, hey, look, we know you want to come back. We'd love to have you back, but we don't have anything right now because we got a lot of stuff that's all lined up and everything. So tell you what, just enjoy the rest of this quarter of 2023. Be with your loved ones. Get in some more training. Eat your vitamins. Say your prayers, right? Say your prayers. Eat your vitamins. Get yourself ready, rested up and everything. And you know what? Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something at the Royal Rumble. Now, some people are under the impression, this is just all smoke and mirrors. And for what it's worth, something is surely going to be going down at Survivor Series weekend, right? That's the scene, that's the place, right? And so everybody's kind of overhyping themselves up, and they think that something is going to go down and everything. And look, something may very well go down. But be prepared for disappointment. I say that to you guys because I know how a lot of you guys get when you get that idea in your head. Oh, man. And then when it comes and goes, y'all are just greatly disappointed, and then you lose focus on the overall bigger picture and everything, right? So, and CM Punk, that is definitely a polarizing name that is going to put eyeballs, definitely going to put clicks on him wherever he goes. There is no mistake about that whatsoever. Do I believe CM Punk will eventually be back in WWE? Yes. I believe he will be back in WWE a lot sooner rather than later. How soon do I think CM Punk may be back in the WWE? Honestly, I would say anytime from this year's Survivor Series to the Raw after WrestleMania next year. I'm being totally, I'm not playing you guys. I'm being totally 100 with you guys. Totally 100 with you guys. I see all the rhetoric that's being put out there by the Meltzers, the Booker T's, and all them other people. Look, what happened with CM Punk in the WWE? There's a right way to do business. There's a wrong way to do business. You know, should CM Punk have operated much differently? Yeah. I mean, look, there's always two sides to a story. Obviously, a lot of what had went down while he was there, honestly, some of that crap had no business going down. Let's be for real. But there's a right and a wrong way to conduct your business. Okay? Even if you feel like you're kind of getting burned or whatever, there's a right and a wrong way to do business. He was a much younger man back then. I'm sure things could have been a little bit different. Maybe he would have handled that in a different kind of light. The stuff that went down with AEW, oof, that's a lot. That's a lot. Half of that he's got to own up to. Half of that he's got to own up to. Yeah, you can say that there's a bunch of kids, there's a bunch of this that's going on, there's a bunch of that, but there's a right and a wrong way to do business. And the ways in which he had conducted business was very bad. Was very bad. So, you know, there's always room for development. There's always room for growth, right? What did you learn from this? And, you know, if you are Nick Khan, Vince McMahon, and them, you need some type of reassurances that something like that is never going to happen in WWE. And I mean, not for nothing, but you stop and you think about all the times when CM Punk was with WWE. Was there ever a situation where, no, you never heard any type of crap like this when he was in the WWE. Does WWE need CM Punk right now? No. They are making so much money, so much good money, it's not even funny. They don't need him. They really don't. If a deal were to materialize between WWE and CM Punk, I truly believe that this would really just be all about two things: burying the hatchet, letting bygones be bygones, and utilizing the hell out of a polarizing name such as CM Punk to help get over the next generation of wrestlers. That's what it's all about. Does CM Punk maybe have one last world title reign in him or whatnot? Yeah, sure. He might have one more. He might get a crack at one of those titles. But as far as him closing out, right? No, that ain't happening. You can forget about that. That ain't happening. Those days are over. But I do feel that sooner or later it's gonna happen. He'll be back. He'll be back there a lot sooner than you think. And if you're going off of my timetable, it's gonna happen a lot sooner than you think, right? But pay no attention to these reports that's running around from a lot of these people. It's a lot of these people, the Meltzers, the Alvarezes, they've already got their own personal agenda when it comes to Punk. We know Mike Johnson is friends with CM Punk. I would look at some of the stuff that Mike Johnson is saying, but take that with a grain of salt. That House of Wrestling, Nick Haas, who constantly, he is getting his bread and butter hookup, man, by the CM Punk camp and all that, right? He's almost kind of reminding me of Pat McAfee and his connection there to Aaron Rodgers and everything. Aaron Rodgers always got to break some type of news one there and everything. But take that Nick Haas of Wrestling site, take that information with a grain of salt, honestly. A lot of these people, I think they are just guessing. The ones you really want to kind of home in on as far as, if this is the intel that they're being given, okay, kind of safe to say that this is, go with Mike Johnson. Fightful, I would say, yeah, you can kind of trust what's going on with Fightful. See, it just depends on the topic. For this particular topic, I'm a little leery, but it's really, for me, PW Insider. But everybody else is just really guessing right now, making an educated guess, and they really don't know. And then, of course, there's a certain narrative that they want to put out there, because maybe CM Punk had hurt their feelings at a press conference after an AEW pay-per-view, or maybe he said something to them, called them out on something via social media. You just don't know, right? There's a lot of biased media that's out there, and it shouldn't even be operating this way, but it is what it is. Tammy Sitch, Sonny, has filed a motion asking for a lower sentence in her conviction on DUI manslaughter charges. As we have mentioned on the show here previously, Sitch is facing up to 26 years in prison for the DUI manslaughter plea deal in relation to a car accident going back to March of 2022 in Ormond Beach, Florida, where she killed a 75-year-old man. PW Insider reports that Sitch's attorneys filed a motion on October 13th asking for a downward departure, which means a sentence imposed below the guideline due to specific mitigating factors. So they're saying that Sitch's lawyers, they're saying that she meets the criteria for a downward departure due to a mental disorder that is unrelated to substance abuse or addiction for a physical disability, and that the defendant is amendable to the treatment. The filing included notice of 2 potential psychiatrists who may testify on her behalf if needed. Remember, she's going to be sentenced this November 27th to be exact. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be some wiggle room there, or if it's just kind of one of those, no, this is it, right? This is where we're going. So one last desperation attempt that Tammy Sitch is trying to make here, trying to see if, hey, besides that 26 years, can we maybe get that a little bit lower? I would imagine they're trying to see if maybe they can get her. I would imagine they're going to try to see if maybe they could get her somewhere between 9 to 13 years in jail. which honestly, you don't want that. You don't want that. Seriously, you don't want that. Because that's nothing, especially if maybe good behavior gets to be factored in. Then that gets cut down even, right? So it's just one of those. Let me tell you something. After being involved in a serious automobile accident, I didn't cause it or anything, but for you longtime listeners, y'all remember I told you the story a couple of months back how me and the wifey were driving home one evening and we came up on this really bad car crash scene. And I got out of the car because a guy was flagging us down, and he was like, there's kids trapped in the car. And it was like me, him, and I think two other guys. We were doing everything that we could. And, long story short, that all was caused by a drunk driver who fled on foot. They eventually caught his stupid ass. But this kid, freaking dumb kid. I think, if I remember right, he's somewhere between 21 to 24. This kid's got a rap sheet of prior DUI charges from the state of Georgia. It's like, so he's already got the track record, right? So, even more the reason why, we need to throw the book at you. We need to make an example out of you, because now look at what happened, Yeah, this last go round in Georgia, maybe nobody got hurt, but now look at what happened when you came through the DMV. You had injured a whole bunch of people and you took the life of a woman. And, you would just like to believe that in the case of Tammy Sitch, nah, honey, your luck has definitely ran its course. That's it. Stick a fork in it. You going down for this one. Ain't no resurrection for you, right? Ain't no, cat has 9 lives. Yeah, all your 9 lives is used up. You're done, all right? So we'll see how that goes. My fingers is crossed, but, I'm hoping that she gets the maximum allowed, and more specifically, it's the maximum allowed, no possibility of parole. You got to do all that time. You got to ride that whole time out. I was getting ready to mention, I know I had said I would bring it up. Two things I want to bring up. Nick Aldis, now the SmackDown general manager. Nice little touch. I got to tell you, it was sad not hearing him get a big roaring ovation, which just makes you kind of say to yourself, well, maybe it's good that we're being introduced to Nick Aldis in this respected fashion, but obviously this guy looks like he can still go. Don't let those suits fool you. I mean, under there, that man's been working out. That man can still freaking go. I can't help but wonder how long is this whole on TV role gonna last for him, and if he's still gonna be a producer or what. So I'm sure we'll learn a lot more about that in the coming weeks and everything, but I'm already loving his back and forth banter with Dominic Mysterio. I think they can do some pretty fun things together. I'm looking forward to seeing just the two of them every single week, just egging each other on. That should be pretty good. The other thing I wanted to mention, though, I had came down with COVID 2 weeks ago. It was really, really bad. I thought it was a case where I accidentally caught it from one of my classmates. And it was weird because I ended up testing myself 2 days after I started feeling a little bit funny, and it was negative. And my wife mentioned to me, she goes, well, it can usually take, 3, 4, 5 days before you can finally see if you're diagnosed with COVID. Right? Yeah, the old saying goes, hey, once you know for a fact you've been exposed to somebody, with COVID, right? Even if you were to test yourself the next day and it's negative, it can still take a couple of days, right? That's her whole point. I'm like, that's a good point. So it said negative at the time for me. I'm like, hey, well, maybe I'm all right. Maybe what I'm just coming down with is some form of a common cold or whatever. Maybe that's what's happening. And so next thing I know, wifey starts coming down. I'm thinking I just gave her my crap. Whatever I had going on, I'm thinking I just gave her my crap. Well, her crap is getting much worse. And I'm starting to really, really feel bad. I'm starting to have the high fever, chills, the whole 9 yards. I ended up testing myself a few days after the initial tests, and this go round, I was positive for COVID. I'm going, what the hell is going on here? And I felt like absolute dog shit. I'm telling you, absolute crap. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was really, really bad, in and out of consciousness. I had never slept so long in my entire life. If I wasn't using the bathroom, which was honestly the way I was, how sick I was going to the bathroom. I was lucky if I was going twice a day. I normally go a lot more than that. But that's just how sick I was from all of that. It was really bad. Everybody it's different when they get hit with COVID. For some people, they don't feel anything. They don't miss a beat. They're good. Other people, feels like a common cold. This was something for me that I experienced that was on a whole new level of... It got to a point where a wife was saying to me, okay, if we can't get your temperature down, if we can't get you in a better physical state, we may have to take you to non-emergency, and I don't know, maybe they'll have to give you some fluids, maybe even keep you overnight, right? It was kind of looking that bad a couple of times there. But the worst of the fever came, and it was really weird. I remember I was just in this hysteria phase, right? It was just, I was talking out loud. That was the worst night of the fever, but I just kept the blankets on me, and somehow I just broke the fever, and I was good from then on. So we're trying to figure out, well, who the hell did we get COVID from? And the wifey says to me, she goes, well, you showed me that email that from your class, one of your classmates had COVID. Like, so how close were you to this kid? And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, honestly, not that close. I'm like, the one time I don't have a mask, I'm not touching anything that he's touching. If it's the person I think it is that has the COVID, I'm good. Then, this happened like maybe 2 days ago. Wifey hits me up with this funny story. She goes, I think I know where I got COVID from. I'm like, okay, do tell. She talks about how her dad wanted to have lunch with her. So she went to pick him up, all that. Wait till he gets in the car and he's telling her, hey, I don't feel so good, and blah this, blah that. Well, that's now been 2 weeks ago that they had that lunch. But she's just now telling me this story 2 days ago. And so I say to her, what was going on with him? Oh, he was hacking up a storm. He was sneezing big time. And here we are 2 weeks later, and, he's saying he still doesn't feel good. He feels a lot worse and that he might go to the hospital. So I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. I'm like, and so you're thinking... She goes, well, he was the only person that I was around that was germy. And when I picked him up, he was doing serious coughing. He was doing serious sneezing. So she suspects that she got COVID from him, and that here we are 2 weeks later and he still hasn't gotten better. That's probably the COVID kicking his ass. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Pops and hoping that he doesn't have COVID and maybe it's just something else that's going on, maybe pneumonia, whatever. But it's kind of weird, man. Very, very weird that I can think of one instance where COVID exposure could have happened from here, but now I've got this new element from her dad, and it's okay. One of these two for sure is the culprit, right? That's the whole point. One of these two is it definitely came from one of these two people, right? Not both, but it came from one of these two people. But I'm just glad I'm feeling a lot better now, so because it had stopped a whole lot of stuff as far as the shows go. I know I had tried to put something out on YouTube. I didn't even bother uploading the audio stream shows. I just took it easy and was resting up. It was funny because I had a few people left and right. Hey Lee, could you do this? Hey Lee, could you do that? And it's a case where I'm going, yeah, nah, I'm not really feeling that good. I'm just gonna take it easy. And it's like, yeah, peace out. So we got AEW Dynamite that's gonna be coming up this Wednesday. And I will definitely be live with you guys for that show. I'm just trying to see real quick if I can get a look at the card for this coming week. Yes, I see the card. All right, so this Wednesday's Dynamite is going to be featuring the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royale, Juice Robinson, Dustin Rhodes, 10 others to be determined. Switchblade Jay White taking on Penta El Zero Miedo. Cal Fletcher goes one-on-one against Kenny Omega. Sting will be in the house to address the fans. Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm, debuts her latest blockbuster film. Jim Ross going to be sitting down with Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mom. Giggity, giggity, go. That should be pretty interesting and funny segment right there, especially if it goes down the way I think it's going to go down. That should be some good stuff. So yeah, sounds like a pretty good card for the most part, but I'll definitely be live with you guys after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR Show. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, the Facebook, YouTube. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. And that is going to do it, my pretty babies. Until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Thanks for continuing to support the show, as always, as November is right around the corner. That's officially going to be year 12 for the RCWR show. Looking forward to it. Hard to believe, 11 almost going on 12 years, and here we are. We're still doing this, and it all still feels fresh, still feels new. Definitely feels different every single time. Loving it, still having fun. That's the important thing. You're still having fun all these years later. That's gonna do it, guys. Be safe, be well, and be kind to one another. And I will see you guys this Wednesday live after Dynamite goes off the air for your post show. Peace, y'all.